Hey, everybody, let's take a moment and have some shares or something along those lines, questions. And if not, we'll jump in and we'll do another process. But let's open it up to your Q&A for a little bit and go ahead and fire away.
Yeah, and so questions and shares class related to last weekend. Go ahead, Ralph.
Hey, Ralph.
Hey, Greg. Um, Fun class. I had a good time.
Oh, good.
Reminded me of the I will call it power, for lack of a better word, of the materialization breath.
Yeah, boy, no joke, huh?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
um, so I noticed that some of the as we're going into the segments, they seem to be grouped. Like segment 13 through, let me pull out my 13 through 19 seem to be like spiritual practice, cultivation of emptiness, prayer. So if we were working on our spiritual practice,
Mhm.
maybe doing that whole 13 through 19.
Yeah, and like the thing that I would say about that is like like listening it out like that way was a little bit of an intellectual thing of like, you can go there, you can go here, you can go there. You don't necessarily have to do each one like a practice. You could just start kind of combining those and starting to go deep and explore those different areas. That's the thing with like
Mhm.
a spiritual practice is, you might start off doing one thing, but then you start to have greater levels of awareness. So you just go like, where's this going to go down the rabbit hole? And so, like the thing we just did with Astara, I kind of manually took people to like that place of exploring different parts of their spine to find tension. And, because a lot of times, if you really explore like down in the gut and the spine area, there's like in everybody there's this like ball of tension that's just there, and the more that you kind of soothe that, it's tied to like a lot of our primal drives and things like this. But the more you soothe that, the more that your body just starts to shift, and so you could do each one as a practice, but after a while, it might be like you just sit down with a couple of oils and you just start going down the rabbit hole, and you might start to have like little realizations or awakenings,
Mhm.
and you kind of like run with it. You might see something about a thing in the everyday world that you have like some realization about, or if you see something in yourself, or you see a pattern, or you have a realization of a perception, I would just take it down that rabbit hole. And at some point you can almost let go of what the parameters were and just using the materialization breath and whatever oil you're using. Um, you could cover a lot of ground in that area. And it's nice to have things pointed out, but at some point you step away from those and there's something that's much bigger beyond them. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I would say, like, feel free to like open it up and explore those things.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. All right. Also, the last section, the cultivation of the Eightfold Path.
Mhm.
Ooh, that looked really interesting.
It's
Um,
very juicy. Like you notice we didn't even talk about it in class either time,
right.
first time,
Hmm.
second time. But it's there. You know what I mean? It's like if you wanted to go down that road, I find it to be very, very nice. But it's also maybe not for everybody. So I threw it out there, and if you want to explore it, I'd explore it. But I like to explore it. But I just thought I'd put it out there. There's probably a handful of people that would, grab onto that, but most people aren't going to probably pay very much attention to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I just throw things in there just because, you
Well,
know.
I haven't had a whole lot of exposure to the Buddhist background. So looking at this, it was like, oh, here's a way,
yeah,
rather
very
than listening
practical.
to rather than listen to a lot of words
Right,
about Buddhism, which, I
right.
mean, in my, it wasn't until I began to look a little bit at Vedic astrology
Hmm.
that I began to understand how all the Hindu, all the gods and the this is and the
Right.
that's. What does all that mean? All these weird ass words. Okay. Oh, is that what we're talking about?
Right, right, right.
So, like for this, it's like, okay, now I can look at Buddhism from the aspect of what is my emotional or not
Right,
emotional. What is it? What is my energetic experience?
right.
Okay. Rather than trying to listen to a bunch of words that I
Yeah.
can't pronounce.
I would agree with that. And like I used to joke that reading about those things was a cure for insomnia because it always put me to sleep. Like
Yeah,
I just found out like, you know. But the more
exactly.
that you kind of
Exactly.
shift it energetically, you kind of get it on the inside. And that's what we're looking for. The explanation is it's nice, but at some point there's a lot more to it than that. And so that's why I actually even kind of wrote out things for the Eightfold Path. And then I was like, I'm just not even going to put that in there. We'll keep it very simple. And, you know, it's the same with alchemy. Like there's something to be said for the contemplation and the awareness and like that effort of like watching something, trying to figuring something out. It really stimulates a movement in the mind that even after you're done will continue, and then you follow it with a materialization breath. It's much more powerful than anything that somebody could write. It's much more powerful. And so that's why a lot of times in the old traditions they would use a symbol and kind of give you an idea of what it was about, but you had to sit with it for a while and you had to, contemplate it and let it sink in and then try to pursue it a little bit in your mind and there's a fruit that comes from that. There's a benefit that comes from that. And so I thought, well, we'll do this old school.
Okay, good. Well,
Yeah.
anyway, thanks.
You're so welcome.
And go ahead, Lolly.
Hey, Lolly.
Hey. So the weekend was great. Thank you. And the three chords with all the centers was amazing. So thank you for that. Yeah, same question as Ralph. So he saved me that about the last part. And then so is there a better way to work with that really last part?
The last part?
Yeah, so
I
would
would
you
say,
do
maybe
it?
when we get done with questions, we'll go through and we'll do one of them. But
Okay.
the idea is to kind of like do contemplation on it and it's that idea of I've said it before where it's like a practice almost where you start posing some questions, but you don't really answer them. Like there's one, right livelihood, you know? And at first you go, well, I have to have the right job that does, some sort of service, or it does this, or it does that. But, you look at your makeup and how your mind works and what you're trying to cultivate. And then even within the workplace or in the job, there can be expressions of spirit or soul in the simplest things. Like it doesn't have to be that the job is about something spiritual or the job is about, you know, I don't know, something that like makes you feel like it's service oriented. You can find it in the simplest tasks. You can find it in the most boring things that you would do. It's that old idea of chopping wood and carrying water. Even in the simple things, there's still a presence there. And it's one thing to find it when when the situation, you're chanting mantras and burning incense and, those are all good, but to be able to find it in, the DMV and be able to find it
Mm.
at the grocery store and being able to find it when you're maybe talking with somebody that, maybe you would never have a conversation with them because it's not somebody you agree with or has your background or but something still is there, something comes out of it. And really what you're doing is you're going beyond that sensory part of the mind and experiencing something different where the more that you see the divinity in you, you start to like search out and look for the divinity in a person or a situation, and not just like the words, but like really looking to touch that divinity. And it has nothing to do with their personality, and it has nothing to do with where they come from or their opinions or anything. There's just this divinity that's there that is beyond all those things. And those things almost are a distraction, you could say. And so, right, livelihood could be something where you're just making connections all day. And who knows what it is? Like it doesn't have to be, it could be at a clerk at a store or something like that. It doesn't have to be, you know, some big dramatic thing that is like, like
Mm.
all spiritual or all this, like I've known some very good mm, disciples of teachers, that they didn't meditate. I don't know that they even prayed. Definitely didn't do mantra and everything, but they cultivated certain aspects in business, you know. They cultivated virtue in business and they cultivated like higher teachings through their actions and trying to always be accurate and truthful and you know, lots of different ways to the top of the mountain, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So just gonna play with all of that.
Yeah, I would
Okay.
play with it.
Yeah.
That's the idea with some of these. Like sometimes we can be very specific, but I like the idea of like the contemplation and observing something and where you really don't have the answer. You're not trying to like go, now I got it. It's a thing that keeps unfolding and unfolding and unfolding and unfolding. And so in a way, you never really get it.
Mm-hmm.
But in a way, you totally get it. You know what I mean? Like it's both there. And I go back to like in my younger years, I like to do Tai Chi, like Bagua and Tai Chi, and you'd learn this form where it would have, a bunch of different postures within the form, and you'd spend all this time getting it down, and it's like, oh, like you could do it. And it was just you touch something, it was like amazing. Like, and you go like, man, I have this down. And then the teacher would go, very good. Now do it 4 inches lower, like squat 4 inches lower. And it's literally like having to start all over again. Like you just, it throws everything off and you kind of are starting over in square one. And you think like, oh, I had this down so amazingly, but it was just in that moment. It was just in that posture. And I find that like really interesting because that really says a lot about consciousness is we get something down that we do and we do it well or we get used to it and there's a part of ourselves that we express and we just get used to expressing that over and over again because it becomes comfortable or we got it down a little bit or we know what to expect from the environment when we express this part of ourselves, but in a way we're keeping a bunch of areas and aspects of ourselves that are just completely left dormant because we get used to just expressing in this one area. And this idea of opening up potential to explore other aspects of you. It's like I kind of said it over the weekend where change isn't about coming something different. It's just about engaging other aspects of you that are dormant. Like it's not about something different. It's about dusting off, another part of yourself and going, hey, come on, get in the game. We're putting you in, you know, and we have so much ability that's left dormant, personality. We even have things that would bring us like great happiness and joy that we just never tap into. It's they're literally forgotten parts of ourselves. And that idea of contemplation, it's a way to start observing the areas that we left in the dark. Dark not meaning ignorance or evil, just meaning lack of awareness, lack of attention, lack of just acknowledgement even. And you can't get there with your intellect, but with contemplation and intuition, it really starts to open up these other areas of yourself that were always there. Like they were always there. We think of it as like, oh, I would love it if this ability came in, or if I could do that, or I could do this. I really have some interest there. It's there. It's just we have too much fixation on our perceptions and consciousness of where we're at in the moment. And so even that seeing something and going, God, how do I get there? Is still part of that unwinding. Even that you just see something is a big step. But then how do you get there? Materialization breath is good. The reason why I did these together is materialization's good about like bringing light to something, waking something up, dusting it off and bringing it forth. Even when you're trying to materialize something, you're trying to bring light to the areas that doubt that you would even be able to do it. Like you're establishing a pattern of like, let's go out and do this. And the thing with the chords is you're just detaching from all the things in the past. Like some of what you're detaching from, you're cleaning up connections with other people, but you're starting to clean up connections with active situations and past events, ways people think, attachments that you've had. And little by little, the more that you work the chords, the more you keep stepping away from that thing that was fixating you. And then you step over to the materialization breath and you go, now let's bring light to it. Bam. And so it's a very simple thing that we did over the weekend, but it's very, very powerful. It's disconnecting and walking away from the repetition and the lack of light, or just the maintenance of it all, where it's one of the ways that we can even make ourselves go into a deeper level of sleep. So we're trying to wake up a little bit, you disconnect, and then eventually you come over and start doing materialization breath. And man, it opens those things up quite substantially. And so the idea was to disconnect and then wake something up.
Thank you so much. That was a good breakdown. Thank you.
Yes.
And then just one question.
Mhm.
If we're looking at really using the materialization breath for others, which we talked about in the past, and it's not
Mhm.
the best, but it's like sometimes an option. Would that be, because in segment 4 you have healing others. Is that what we're talking about here? Would those
Yeah,
be?
you would just, it's not going to be super specific to symptoms all the time, but
Yeah.
you're helping to shift that person, you're helping to bring light to that person. It can be effective, you know. It is sometimes it depends, but the way to do that is to just focus very one pointedly on the person, not necessarily the issue or the problem or the symptom, but just really focus on the person and then do the materialization breath and then go back to focusing on the person and then that. Yeah, you could do that.
Okay, and then as far as the different oils, basically any of these, regardless of the
Any
situation.
of them on the list, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
You'll kind
Sounds
of
good.
find, or at least for me, like I kind of find that over a period of time for materialization, I have my favorites. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like I try not to project those onto you guys, you know, when it's about producing a result. But like you know, like when I make that list, they're pretty much all A choices that got listed.
Mhm.
And so you can find something in there, but you know, there's some that you have a better connection with maybe than others. And it's going to be different from person to person, you know.
Yeah.
And
And
so I would say, you know, kind of explore them a little bit and see what like, this one really gets me. But they'll
mhm,
all kind of do the trick.
yeah. And I mean, a lot of these on this specific list are the blue oils that are just relaxing, and then ginger lily, that's more of like the emotional stuff. And okay,
Mhm.
okay, I'll explore that. Thank you so much.
You know, like think of it like this, like the more when you're trying to help somebody else or pray for somebody else, the more you can be in intuition and really just let the energy go. It's going to do so much more than what your intention is. You know, the energy is so much stronger than your intention. And so your intention just being the thing that connects you to the person, but then the energy is what flows. And a lot of times, what happens with practitioners is we think the intention has to be on what's trying to be produced. And really the intention is about just where to connect the light, you know, that person, you know, if they're having health issues, still going to that person is going to address that. If they're having issues with people around them, it still kind of addresses that. You know, like sometimes if I'm not doing just the person, I'm doing a little bit more than that. It's because they're in a situation where the healing is going to be more dependent on the group shifting rather than just the person. But for most times, I would say stay focused on just the one person, just like super one pointed. And then, you know, let go and then do the materialization breath. And yeah, it can be very different when we look at it from like symptoms or even from like the vibrational state and things like that. You know, you're connecting or anchoring light. You know, it's a deeper version of saying the divinity in me recognizes the divinity in you. Like it's almost like going the light in me is sending light to you. And you know, at some point on some level, it might not be in their conscious everyday mind. There is a bit of a shift. And even if it's not recognizable at first, it's still there. You know, it's still a movement. And if we go back to the idea of vibrational healing, you know, here with doing this practice, you're working an aspect of harmonics, you know, and harmonics being the establishing patterns that continue to manifest. You know, it's tied to like when you say amen, or in the old days in magic, they used to say fiat, 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 fiat. And it just means when you take your attention away, it continues to manifest. And so that's the idea of harmonics. And we have bad harmonics that causes us disease and ill health and negative emotions and things with other people around us. And then we have some good ones. And as we refine ourselves, the negative diminish and the positive keep increasing, so that after a period of time, you're almost riding the coattails of everything that you put in motion already. And so when you're dealing with other people, you're still utilizing that idea of harmonics, where you can establish a pattern in yourself, and you can establish a pattern in in your environment, and then it starts to pull in the aspect of resonance, which is tied to how well how much you're impacted by your environment and how much you impact your environment. And one is about patterns, and one is just to be about reactivity. And that's why when we do things like this and you go, okay, you sit, you be still, you watch, because in that you're reducing the reactivity, and you're increasing the amount of light and intuition that's starting to flow. So you go, okay, I'm going to think about this person. I'm going to hold them in my heart. I'm going to stay one pointed on them. And part of you is having a reaction, right? But the reaction, because you're sitting there doing it with intention, is good. It's starting to stimulate the heart, and it's starting to stimulate light that then is going to be projected at this person. And then you go through and begin to do the materialization breath, and then it goes from affecting you to affecting that person, and you back and you hold it and you feel it, and you already have the patterns in place from the harmonics, but now you're starting to exert a greater influence over the other person in the situation that person might be in. And really, it's not an act of will, it's an act of light. You're just emanating light into that situation. What they do with it is what they do with it,
Mm-hmm.
but you're just emanating the light into a situation that is going to be much more potent than any intention or intellectual thing that you directed at.
So thank you. Which so then if you were to work with like a tool, like let's say a doji, you would alternate between the two, basically. You would do, or
Oh
would
yeah,
you do it
yeah,
in the
you
same set?
totally, yeah, yeah.
Would you do it
Alternate
in the
between them.
same session, or would you do it in
Yeah.
different?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
just one and then the other.
Yeah. You could switch back and forth, and yeah, but the materialization breath could definitely be a big part of something that you're doing, in any healing modality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
We used to do a version of it before going into the sweat lodge. It was a little bit different, but same idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
The ones that we didn't do, like the lodges, were still intense, but when we did that process before we went in those lodges, when I was traveling with the medicine man, oh man, there was life before that lodge and life after that lodge. I was never the same. I always was like, why did it take me so long to get here? Oh my God, you know.
So it's really using it more because it is so powerful. So just
Yeah,
being reminded
it's
of that.
really
Yeah.
like breaking out of a bondage of sorts. It really is.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's maybe So how about first we'll pull out whatever you are using for the chords. So ironbark eucalyptus, rue, St. John's wort, etheric chords. And we're gonna mix it up a little bit here. Like I said, like these are protocols for you to follow, but we're gonna mix it up a little bit. Okay. So think of a past event. Negative, positive, neutral, something that was impactful, good or bad. Think about it for a moment. And now, with whatever you're using for your chords, start taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then just pause and be still. Go to that same past event. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then pause. Just completely let go. Now, you're not going to think of the past event. You're still going to use the same oil, but now your awareness is on the throat chakra. Take some nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then just let go. Now, your awareness is between your eyebrows, the ajna. You're not thinking of anything. Your awareness is just on the ajna. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths. You're using that same exact oil. And just be still. Going to that past event again, that same one. You're focused on it. And take some nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And just pause. Now we're going to reach out to age 10, healing the past. We're going to pull an oil out for the materialization breath. If you had the kit for purchase, healing elixir or acacia, but also absinthium, aloes, artemisia and mugwort, Buddha wood, helichrysum, opopanax, wormwood, chakra root cleanser, nerve help, pain relief psychogenic, Paracelsus, splendor, trauma relief. Choose something out of that grouping. If you don't have something out of that, let us know. We'll come up with a different choice. Okay, so you have your oil. Now, again, contemplate that past event, whatever it was. Let's keep working that same one you're working. Let it all go. Oil to your chest, chin down. Inhale, hold your breath, head up, exhale. Down, inhale, 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 up, exhale. Just be still. Again, you're reflecting on that past. Your awareness is on your heart. Letting go. Your oil to your chest, chin down. Inhale, hold your breath up, exhale. Down, inhale, 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 up, exhale. Just be still. Pull out the oil that you are using for cords. Your awareness is between your eyebrows. You're inhaling with the oil that you are using for cords. Etheric cords, ironbark eucalyptus, St. John's wort, rue. Your awareness is between your eyebrows. Just let go for a moment. And feeling. You're inhaling, your awareness is on the throat. And then just pausing and being still. Pull out the oil that you use for materialization. Whatever that was. Hold that situation in your heart. Let it go. And let's do 8 or 9 of the materialization breaths. So chin down to your chest. Inhale. Hold your breath. Head up. Exhale. Do about 8 more. Whatever oil you use for the cords. Your awareness is on the bottom of your tailbone. Take some nice, long, slow, deep breath. And then just let go. How does that feel? How does that feel to you?
Yeah, knocked out now.
Anybody want to share or ask questions?
Yeah, go ahead, Barbara.
Hey,
Hey there. Um, there's so much more softness around the event now. It's really
Mhm.
lovely.
yeah.
And my
Yeah.
question
Mhm.
is, the first time you went throat ajna and the second time you went ajna throat, what's the difference?
Usually, I mean, you could do it either way, but the thing is like when we're really thinking about it, the repetitive thought is usually coming from the throat,
Mhm.
and then the energy of thought or the more strategic thinking comes from the ajna. And so, usually when we have a past event, we go more into a repetitive thing, even if it was positive. And so the idea was to unwind that. I mean, either way would have still worked. It's just a slightly more effective way to do it is to unwind the repetitive thought and then go to the strategic thinking. And then we did the materialization breath, and you saw like I kind of went opposite. And again, to stimulate like a new idea, like, because that's still strategic thinking, but it's new and abstract information. Your lower mind is always going to go back into some form of a repetitive thought, but now it has like a new repetitive thought. Like it's
Ah, okay.
kind of manually dropping in like this new perspective and going, think about that for a while and think about that repetitively. Like, you know what I mean? It's
Got
kind of
it. Yeah,
shifting it a little bit. If you did it out of order, it would still work. It's just that's the most efficient way to do it.
got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. How did that feel to you?
As I said, it was soothing and it's a piece I've become aware of more recently. It's like one step back of a pattern.
Hmm.
Um, and the time before this, when I worked on it, there was some really deep emotion around it. And this time, I said it is much softer and
Oh, nice.
sort of compassion all around for the
Very
6.5-year-old and for the parents.
Right, right. There you
Oh,
go.
good.
Good. Okay, you guys. Well, thanks for joining us, and this will be not the last time we do stuff like this, but it's just a good little version of it right now. So hopefully we see you at the weekend where it's another free class this weekend, and it's about regeneration and d- increasing the deeper levels that your body can repair itself, including your emotions and mind. So hopefully you can join us. Take care.